Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of CEDH. Today we are joined by 3 members of our Discord channel. Also, if you want to support the channel, come check out our Patreon, as it's the best way to support the channel and help us produce the content you enjoy. Also, if you're interested in playing with us, hop on our Discord. We have an ever-growing community and we'll love to talk MTG or whatever strikes our fancy. And another benefit is we often let people know when we play and would love to meet some new people. Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board. First up is Alderaan on Tymna Sakashima. This is a value-based Esper deck that aims to steal from his opponents, take infinite turns, and uses Tymna to gain card advantage, along with Sakashima to help copy his powerful creatures for additional value. Next up is Devo, playing Hofri Ghostforge. This is a value-based Boros list that runs fast mana for an early Hofri to basically double ETB and death triggers. Along with a small token synergy and the tried and true Kiki combo as backup, this can be a powerful engine once it gets going. In the third spot, we have Hidden Planet X, who has brought Prosper, Tomebound. This is a Rakdos value-based combo deck that can gain advantage in a very unique way and crack a Doomsday pile in a pretty meaningful way. And bringing up the rear, we have Ivan on Godo, and man is this one scary deck. The thing about Godo is inevitability. All you need to do is count to 11 and you win. And while you're not in blue, that doesn't mean you don't have plenty of ways of stopping your opponents till you get the mana needed. But without further ado, let's get on to the gameplay. Alderaan starts off with a Misty Rainforest, cracking it for an untapped Hallowed Fountains. He shortcuts and casts a Soul Ring, but hands the turn over. Devo has a Mountain and a Mana Vault. Hidden plays and cracks a Marsh Flats for a Badlands. Ivan puts a Cavern of Souls into play and names Human. The Cavern then gets tapped for a Mana Vault, and at his end step, Hidden Vamp tutors to put a card on top. Alderaan plays a Swamp and casts Tymna. Devo has a Plains and has a turn 2 Smothering Tithe. Hidden draws and cannot pay for the Tithe trigger. He plays a Mana Conflux's land and casts a Mana Crypt. This lets him help power out an Arcane Signet, which is then tapped for a Fellwar Stone, which is then tapped for a Talisman of Indulgence. Ivan doesn't pay the tax and is short on mana as he casts and cracks an Expedition map for a Great Furnace, and then follows that up with a Gamble. Ivan finds a card and then randomly discards a Helm of the Host, and ends his turn with the Mana Crypt. Alderaan doesn't pay the tax and then heads to combat. He sends Tymna at Devo for a little payback. Alderaan then goes up 2 life and down 1 for Tymna and draws a card, which is again taxed by the Tithe. Alderaan has a Plains as land and casts a Valkmira, Protect Your Shield. Devo takes 1 from his vault and plays a Mountain. He taps for 5 to cast his commander Hofri, and then cracks 1 of his 2 remaining treasures on a Faithless Looting. He draws 2 and discards an Eternal Scourge and a Boros Charm. Hidden then takes 3 from his crypt and pays for the Smothering Tithe. He has a City of Brass's land and casts his commander, Prosper, taking an extra 2 from his mana base, and at his end step he exiles a Praetor's Grasp. Ivan takes 1 from his vault and another 3 from his crypt. He doesn't pay the 2 and has a Mountain. Ivan then casts an Imperial Recruiter, which resolves, and on ETB finds a Treasonous Ogre. Alderaan untaps and doesn't pay for the Smothering Tithe. 3 mana then gets him a Crystal Ball, and he plays an Island as land. Devo takes 1 from his vault and casts a Perforos, God of the Forge. He then proceeds to combat and sends Hofri at Ivan, who chumps it with his Recruiter. Hidden pays for the Tithe and takes 3 from his crypt. He plays an Arid Mesa as land and starts off by casting the Praetor's Grasp. He honestly is not sure what he wants and ends up choosing Alderaan. He gets a treasure off Prosper and goes searching through Alderaan's library. He secretly chooses a Necropotence and then cracks his fetch for a snow-covered Mountain. We also realize Hidden needs to pay 1 due to the shield, and he pays for it with the Mountain. He then casts the Exiled Necro and triggers Prosper again for another treasure. Hidden then ends his turn paying 7 into the Necro for a fresh new hand. Prosper exiles a Sulphurous Spring, and Hidden discards a few cards due to hand size. Ivan takes 1 from his vault and is safe from his crypt. He starts by paying 2 for a Dockside, with Hidden responding by cracking his treasure to cast an Abrade. Originally he wanted to take out Tymna, but she has Ward 1 from the shield, so Hidden has to point it at Ivan's own mana crypt instead. Ivan taps it for mana and gains 13 treasures.
Alright, that's, I think, pretty good.
Yeah. Ivan then casts a Treasonous Ogre for even more mana. More treasures are cracked to cast Godo, which resolves and grabs a Hammer of Nizan, which on ETB equips to Godo. However, responding to the equip trigger, Alderaan rapid hybridizations it. Godo is destroyed, but Ivan still has a massive amount of mana left, and along with some life to the Treasonous Ogre, helps recast Godo again. He resolves and this time finds an Argentum armor for some value. It enters, and due to the hammer, it equips onto the dockside. Ivan then heads to combat and sends the dockside Hidden, but targets the attack trigger at the Smothering Tithe. Unfortunately, Hidden doesn't want to take the hit, and while he wanted the Tithe gone, he ends up deflecting Swat the destroyed trigger at the armor itself, and then eats the now puny dockside with his death-touching Prosper. Although it turns out he should have just taken the one, as Ivan then sacks a mountain to thunderclap the Prosper. And at his end step, Alderaan uses his Crystal Ball to scry 2.
God, that was so tense.
It was. But now I'm not gonna do anything for the rest of the game, so it'll be fine. But never trust a Godo player, so don't take my word for it.
Never trust a Godo player.
Alderaan doesn't pay the tithe and plays an island. He then sends Tymna in to gain a life and draw a card. He doesn't pay for the tithe and then casts the Mystic Remora, following that with a Mole Drifter to draw 2 more cards and give 2 more treasures to Davo. And man, did Hidden wish he just let Ivan kill that Smothering Tithe. Davo takes 1 from his vault and plays a Plains. 2 mana gets him a Swiftfoot Boots, which he pays 1 to equip into Hofri.
I'm gonna sacrifice 3 treasures, going to 3, to flashback Faithless Looting for my graveyard. We'll draw 2.
I say,
1.
Are you paying for the fish?
Oh no, you got it, Alderaan. And will you pay the Smothering Tithe?
You cast Boots first, which you didn't pay for.
Oh yeah, but will you pay? Oh no, I don't think you can.
And I did not.
So 4 and 5.
And then again.
Dude, we're gonna be best friends, Alderaan. Yeah, fist bump.
You
Friends.
guys,
Until we die.
you guys are like circle jerking out there.
He draws and discards 2, following that up with a Fanatical Devotion. He gives another card to Alderaan. Davo then spends the last of his treasure on a Solemn Simulacrum, who on ETB triggers Perforos to deal 2 to everyone and lets him search out a basic plains. He then sacks the Solemn to the Devotion to regenerate his commander, and more importantly, this triggers the Solemn's death trigger to draw a card, and Hofri's reanimation effect to bring the Solemn back as a spirit, which on ETB triggers Perforos to ping the tail and get him a mountain. This was another reason why I didn't want to take 6. There's a Perforos on the board.
Bro.
The Spirit Solemn is then sacked for another card, and Davo then heads to combat. He sends Hofri at Hidden, who can't block.
Oh, that's gonna be a colorful Adnos for you.
Hidden is at least safe from his crypt, but is not sure how to get out of all this. Well, step 1 seems to be a Dockside Extortionist, which gets him 12 treasures, and he then casts a Tainted Pact. He gives a card to Alderaan and a treasure to Davo, and reveals a Demonic Tutor, which actually seems good enough for Hidden to stop at that.
Alright, let's do it. Tainted Pact, draw 1.
Yeah, Tainted Pact, draw 1.
But it's not even a draw, so he doesn't get treasure, so it's better.
Yep. Hidden then casts the Demonic and gives another card and treasure away. He goes and grabs a Peer into the Abyss, which he casts. He gives another card and treasure, and then draws 37 cards and drops the 3. Also, Davo completely forgot about his 37 Smothering Tithe triggers. Hidden casts a Lotus Petal, giving a card and treasure, and for the sake, I'm not going to be saying this 100 times, he gives a lot of cards and treasures to Alderaan and Davo. Hidden then starts barfing Mana Rocks as he casts a Mox Opal into a Crow Mox. He then decides to risk it all with a Thoughtseize at Davo to try and clear the way. But this backfires as Davo responds with a Dual Caster Mage to ping the table, and since Davo doesn't want to get Thoughtseized, he sacks his Mage to the Devotion to bring it back as a spirit and take Hidden out, which was good as Hidden did have the win in hand. Ivan starts off his turn by taking 1 and paying for the Tithe. He then exiles a Simian Spirit Guide for a Rite of Flames, giving a card and treasure. Ivan then casts a Dreddy, Scrap Savant, giving another card and treasure, and down-ticking the Walker to sack his mana vault to bring the Helm back. The Helm enters the battlefield, and due to the hammer, tries an equip on to Godo. But responding to this trigger, Davo casts a Chaos Warp on the Godo. He gives a card to Alderaan and another treasure for himself, as Ivan puts Godo back in the command zone and shuffles his library. He reveals a Brass Squire, which he puts into play. He unfortunately actually doesn't have enough life to recast Godo and passes, with Alderaan at his end step scrying 2 with his crystal ball. Alderaan pays for his fish, but not the tithe, and plays a Glacial Fortress's land. He then taps out for a Sarah's Emissary. He's scared of Perforos and names enchantments, and then heads to combat. He sends Muldrifter at Ivan and ends his turn paying a life to draw and give a treasure to Davo. Davo then takes 1 from his vault and plays a Spectator seeding his land. He sends his Dualcaster at Ivan, although he did forget about his 3/3 beast, and they trade, with Davo then passing after that. Ivan draws and doesn't pay for the tithe. He has only 1 card left and plays a Wheel of Misfortune. He gives another card and treasure, and everyone reveals the number they've picked, with Alderaan showing 0, Davo showing 6, and unfortunately for Ivan, who reveals and takes 7. Davo and Ivan then wheel, and this time he remembers the Smothering Tithe triggers. Ivan then plays a Mountain into a Sol Ring, a Chromox is next, and he's not paying for any of the taxes. Next is a Welding Jar, and he upticks on Duretti to discard and draw 2, finally ending his turn using his Brass Squire to equip his hammer onto his Ogre. Alderaan untaps and lets his fish die. 4 mana then gets him Sakashima, which clones his Sarah's, naming creatures. He then casts a Smothering Tithe of his own.
Does this mean I can scoop it up? Or
Alderaan then heads to combat and sends the Emissary at Davo and the Muldrifter at Ivan. But before damage, Davo passed the Emissary, which gave protection from enchantments, and Ivan drops the 2.
So, I think I'm dead on board, right? Wait, how do you
Next
say
turn?
it, Hidden? Can you please quote...
Say the line, Hidden. Say
Can
the
you
line.
please say the line?
Looks like we're dead on board.
Alright, let's go, dude!
He said the thing. He said the thing.
I'm such a fanboy right now.
He's
Oh
like,
my God.
looks like I'm in Die
Oh
Hard
my
2.
god! Oh my god!
Alderaan draws off Tymna and plays a Plains. Davo draws and this time gives a treasure to Alderaan. He plays a Command Tower as land, and 3 treasures gets him a Magus of the Wheel. He pings the table and takes Ivan out. Also, due to the shield, Alderaan only takes 1 from the Perforos. 5 treasures then gets him an AO, the Dawn Sky. He pings the table and casts an Astronaut's Altar. The Magus is then sacked to the altar and brought back as a spirit. He now has Trample and Haste. But before he wheels, he casts a Luminous Broodmoth. AO is then sacked to the altar, and he triggers AO to get an Anointed Procession from the top 7. The dragon is then brought back as a spirit token, which is then doubled due to the procession. He has to sacrifice 1 immediately due to the legend rule, but this triggers his death trigger to put a combat celebrant into play. Davo now has pretty much emptied his hand, and he now sacks the Magus to wheel for a fresh 7. Both players get 7 treasures from the Smothering Tithe.
I'm assuming you're not paying for mine either, so I guess.
Oh my god, you
Yeah.
guys are circle choking right now.
I would get 7.
It's like, oh my god, look at our own deck.
1,
Oh god.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Davo then pays some life and a few treasures for an act of aggression to try and take control of Alderaan's Emissary. So at this point, Davo can then sacrifice his combat celebrant for 2 more hasty copies, and with them being able to exert themselves for 2 extra combats, Alderaan scoops it up as he can't defend against the onslaught of creatures, giving the game to Davo. And before I get into the game review, I want to thank our Patreon subscribers. Game review. Man, I really wasn't sure who was going to win this game. Davo had so much mana to do that Smothering Tithe, while Hidden also had a fast start with all those mana rocks. But let's not forget how the table started to sweat when that Dockside came out for Ivan. And I can't forget Alderaan, who draws so many cards from his fish. I really thought it could be anyone's game. I know one of the key moments was Hidden swerving the Argentum armor away from the Smothering Tithe and destroying the armor itself. But with the Perforos out and him relying on a Necropotence for card draw, Hidden really couldn't take the 7, nor did he want to trade his commander and then take free attacks from other players. Unfortunately for Godo, discarding the helm really did hurt his game plan. Normally he would have mulliganed it away, but he liked his hand otherwise, and the gamble did end up hurting him. Although he almost had it with the help of Dockside. But there was plenty of interaction up, so maybe it was his best interest to try and wait for someone else to go off and take all the interaction for him. I was also surprised that Alderaan wasn't able to take control with all the extra cards he drew, but that's just how things go. But congrats to Davo for being able to grind out enough value to just overtake his opponents. Perforce is such a good card if it can just sit, and with essentially double creature ETBs and death triggers from his commander, he built quite the engine. Thanks to all the players that joined, and I hope to see you guys later. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you know that we have a TCG affiliate link, and if you ever see a card you want to try or are inspired to brew something new, use our link when purchasing and we'll receive a small portion of the sale. This is a great way to support the channel, and if you enjoyed the gameplay, please leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps us keep making videos. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.